Happy New Year. We're going to give it about another 30 seconds or so. Get people, I can see people signing on. So we'll get everyone going in just about 30 seconds or so. So you just need a chair to get yourselves ready for our mindfulness yoga for commuters today. So we'll give it a couple more seconds and then we'll get started. Okay. So hi, Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome to our first webinar of 2021. New Year, New You, Mindfulness and Commute Planning. My name is Julie Quinn, and joining me today to facilitate today's webinar are Kelly Marsacci and Sophia Gallimore. This webinar is brought to you by Transaction Associates, Transportation Management Associations, TMAs, and private clients that TMA manages their commuting programs and benefits. Transaction Associates also has a shuttles services division. One particular benefit is commuter wellness. Today, we are practicing mindfulness in our everyday lives. Mindfulness is the complete and non-judgmental awareness of all of the present moment. When we make an effort to be present, we cannot get caught up in the worries about the past or the future. If we practice mindfulness regularly, we can train our brains to be present more often in our daily lives rather than be held back by anxieties and stress. To guide us through today's session is Spiridoula, founder and owner of Spira Yoga Shala in East Cambridge. Spiridoula will guide us through a series of movements designed to do at or around your desk, whether you are teleworking or working on site. This yoga practice today will focus your mind as well as tone your muscles so you can return to your workday refreshed and productive. Follow along during our lunchtime session and come away nourished body, mind, and spirit. Following the yoga session, we will have a quick demo of how eCommuter can help you with your commute planning and overview of Commuter's ERH Emergency Ride Home program. We welcome your questions throughout the webinar. Please use your question bar on the sidebar of your screen and we will answer your questions at the end of the session. This will also be recorded and you will receive a follow-up email with the link to the recording and a short survey for feedback. One quick poll before we begin to see if you're familiar with the art of mindfulness. Kel?
Yep, so just a quick poll. How many of you practice mindfulness? Select one of the following. I've never done this. I am a beginner. I've been enjoying the benefits for years. So we'll leave this open for about 30 seconds or so, get everyone all their answers in. Got about 10 seconds left, so if you haven't voted yet. All right. Gonna go ahead and close out the poll. And let's look at our results. We have about 50-50 split between beginners and never having done this. So take it away, Spira.
Welcome, everyone. Happy New Year. I'm so excited to finally start fresh, and I hope you are too. You know, this webinar is very timely, taking into consideration how stressful yesterday's events were. And it really drives home the point of how important self-care is. I personally felt extremely stressed and frightened and a bit anxious yesterday, and I know I'm not the only one. So I reached into my bucket of tools and helped take care of myself so that I could feel a little more calm and a little more centered. So mindfulness is one of the tools that I use, and there are many ways to practice mindfulness. We will practice today, and at the end of the yoga session, I'm going to share with you a list of mindfulness activities that you can do at home. Even if you never take a class or do it formally in that way, there are still things that you can do at home pretty easily. So as Julie said, mindfulness is really just about being in the present moment. And when we pause and are just in our bodies, present completely and grounded, we don't think about the future, we don't think about the past. So it's a wonderful tool. Now, it's not a substitute, of course, when you're having problems, but it's extremely helpful if you're stuck in your head about a specific problem, for example. It's a wonderful way to just kind of get you back to reality, because many times anxieties are unfounded, right? It's like we just kind of imagine it. So the first thing I want to share with you is a mindfulness breathing technique. And I'm also going to share with you, within this mindfulness breathing technique, we're going to do a short activity to bring in the new year. Now, your pencil and paper can just be left to the side for now. All we're going to do to start is sit in our chair, feet on the floor, or in my case, feet on the block, because I can't reach the floor. So just sit with your back straight. Your eyes can either be closed or you can lower your gaze, and your hands can just be comfortable in your lap, whatever feels right for you. And for now, I would like you simply to bring your awareness to your breath. Now, the reason why you hear this a lot in meditation, bringing awareness to the breath, is, well, it serves a couple of purposes. One of them is to help you focus so that your mind doesn't keep drifting. And by the way, it's completely normal for your mind to be drifting because that's what our minds do. There's nothing weird about that, okay? So focusing on the breath helps us to do that. The other thing that focusing on the breath does, it will help us learn how to control the breath, because there are certain types of breathing that can actually calm your anxiety very quickly by simply activating what's called the parasympathetic nervous system. So yeah, there's a bit of neuroscience to back it up, but just so you know, that's why it works, okay? So with the eyes closed or lowered, place your hands on your belly and notice the breath. And notice where you're breathing from. Sometimes, and some people tend to breathe a little bit more through the chest, and some more through the belly, and some may be a combination of both. So for today, I'm going to ask you, see if you can direct your breath to the belly. And the way you can do that is really just by having your hands on your belly, so you can physically feel your diaphragm expand and contract as you breathe. So let's just take a minute and try this out. Now, if you're having a hard time and still breathing through your chest, don't let it bother you. It's not a huge deal. Sometimes it takes practice to be able to do that. Some people do have difficulty breathing in that way. If you try and it doesn't seem to be working, don't think too much about it. Just keep going with the exercise. You're still breathing. You're still inhaling and exhaling. So it's all good. And while you're breathing, and while you are now focused on your breath, I'm going to ask for one more thing. If you can, again, don't be bothered if you can't, but see if you can maybe slow down your exhalation a little bit. So you inhale, and maybe you can count in your head. Say you inhale to the count of 4 or 5. See if you can get your exhalation to elongate so that it goes to the count of 6 or 7 or 8. Try this for 30 seconds or so. Now, while you're breathing, I'm hoping that you feel pretty comfortable. And I just want to tell you that this specific breathing technique is called diaphragmatic breathing. You can do this anytime you want, and it can definitely help when you're feeling anxious. And it can usually help very quickly, within a minute or two. I usually get results within the first 60 seconds. So I'm hoping that you're feeling it by now. I'd like for you to also bring your awareness to your feet. Just notice them on the floor or on the block. Notice your legs on the seat. Notice your back against the seat. And now we're just getting grounded, coming into our bodies. Notice how you're fully supported by the seat and you're safe in your own body. And we're going to do a short visualization for the new year. And the first thing that I would like you to do Just think about one thing or two or three, we'll say 1 to 3 things that you would like to release from your life. 1 to 3 things that are just no longer serving your highest good. And that can be anything. It can be a physical thing, an emotional thing, a mental thing. Maybe you'd like to release anxiety. Maybe you'd like to release stress. Maybe it's a situation that you'd like to let go of. And just think about it in your mind. What would you like to release? At the end of this practice, we'll be writing it down. So don't worry too much about trying to remember. You'll have a chance to write it down. And next, I'd like you to think about 1 to 3 things that you would like to bring into your life, bring into your universe. Some people like to use the word manifestation. What would you like to manifest? What would you like to bring in that you think would serve your highest good? What would those things be? Think about as many details as you'd like. In creative visualization, when you want to bring something in, it's even more effective if you can imagine as many details as possible. So don't be afraid to dream big. Your brain doesn't know the difference. Your brain will take whatever information you give it. Next, what I would like you to do is slowly open your eyes, take your paper and pen, and I'd like you to write the list of the things you'd like to let go of on one piece of paper and the list of things you want to bring in on the other. If you only have one piece of paper, just make 2 lists and you can always tear it. So just take a minute to do that. Now, what you're going to do with these lists, you will do on your own later. But what you're going to do is take the little piece of paper with the 1 to 3 things that you would like to let go of, and you're going to burn it. Now, please burn it in a safe place. Don't burn it in your house unless you have a fireplace or a wood stove. Please take it outside. But it makes the ritual a little more interesting to visually see this list to burn away, to go up in smoke. It's kind of nice. And then the other list, you're going to fold up that little piece of paper and put it in a special place. And you can hang on to it for the year. And you can go back to it and look at it anytime you want. And maybe you can revisit it next at the end of this year. Or you can, like I said, revisit it anytime, but put it in a safe place. I have a little safe place where I put my lists. And some people have an altar in their home, some people, whether you have practice of religion or not, I think many people have little altars. Or even if it's maybe an area where you keep photos of loved ones, maybe a little vase or a jewelry box or whatever, just anywhere you think that it would be a good place. And that's it for that exercise. Now, usually when we practice diaphragmatic breathing, we don't always include this type of an exercise. I added this today specifically for the new year, and just for you for this webinar. So I hope you enjoyed that. And we're going to go on to the yoga practice next. I just wanted to check in quick with Julie to see if there was something in between that I might have forgotten about.
Nope, you're good.
Okay.
You're good, Sarah. Keep going. Thank you. That was excellent.
All right. I hope everybody feels pretty grounded now. I know I definitely do. So
I do. Thank you.
So I'd like you to have your chair handy. Now I have my chair on the rubber mat so that it doesn't slide around. If you don't have a rubber mat, you can put your chair up against the wall. Just make sure it's safe. We're not going to be pushing on it so hard, but you never know. Again, we want to stay safe, right? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start standing. Since we already did a seated meditation and everyone here is grounded, we're going to start standing. So I'm going to have you simply just stand with your feet naturally apart, maybe hips width distance apart. And we're going to inhale the arms up overhead. Clasp your hands, press up as you exhale. Inhale again, and then exhale again. Hands in front of the heart. We'll do that one more time. Inhale, hands go up overhead. Interlace the fingers and press up as you exhale. Inhale again, and then exhale again. One more time. Inhale the hands up. Now this time, I'm going to grab my left wrist with my right hand and simply lean over to the right. Keep the knees a little soft. We don't want to lock the knees here. Full deep breaths from your belly. Remember how we were doing the belly breathing earlier? We're going to try to breathe this way throughout this little practice, okay? Let's inhale back up, switch hands, and then exhale and lean to the other side. Full deep breaths. This is such a simple stretch, and yet it's still one of my favorites. In fact, all the simple ones are my favorites. Yoga doesn't have to be fancy, remember. Inhale back up, and then we'll just exhale the arms down. From here, we're going to do a little forward fold. I want you to bend your knees and then simply fold right over your legs. I'll turn to the side so you can see what it looks like. But once you're folded over, you don't need to watch, okay? So let the head hang down, let it hang nice and loose. See if you can shake your head yes and no, making sure that the neck is soft. Bend the knees as much as you want, but please keep them bent. I like to bend mine so that even my belly comes onto my thigh. Now the hands can simply be loose in front of you, or you can just take opposite elbows. This is called ragdoll. And in ragdoll, what we're trying to do is allow gravity to elongate the spine and to allow these muscles to start to relax. So we call this is an inversion when we're trying to get upside down. Now the next thing I'd like you to try is shifting the weight from one foot to the other. And notice that the top half of your body starts to move around and swing a little bit. Maybe even like a little piece of seaweed. Feel free to explore that. You can shift weight from the front of the feet to the back of the feet, or even side to side. You can make big movements or small movements. Just see what feels good for you. Again, this is one of my favorites. It's so easy to do. This is a nice movement you can make when you need to take a break from your desk also. It's so easy. All you need to do is fold. Especially since we hold a lot of tension in our shoulders when we're working at our desks and our whole spine gets compressed. Now to come out of this, we're just going to unfold the hands and then bring them to the tops of the shins and just walk the arms back up, right up to standing. Next, we have the chair in front of us. I'd like you to take a step forward towards the chair, keep the other leg behind you, and we're simply going to fold down. Now what's happening here is we're going to get a stretch in the back calf. So you're going to bend the front knee and come in towards the chair. Again, really simple. It's not a complex movement, but you should get a nice calf stretch from here. You can even go back and forth a few times. And then from here, we'll stand up and we'll switch sides. Give me 1 second because my shirt is kind of all over the place. So I need to Remove. My apologies. So we'll go ahead and take the other side. Now the distance between the legs is up to you because again, your body is different than mine. So you might need to have your legs closer. You might need to have them wider. Play with it, feel it out. That's the other thing about yoga. The movements are supposed to relate to your body and not what you see the teacher doing. It has nothing to do with what it looks like, but what it feels like. Great, and then we'll step towards the chair. And now we're going to hold onto the back of the chair or the wall, whatever works for you. We're going to do a little quad stretch too. So let's reach back and take the foot or ankle. If you can't reach back and take the foot or ankle, here's an alternative. You can simply place it on the chair, okay? If you can, we'll just take it and lift it back behind us. Take a few full deep breaths here. And then release, and then we'll do the other side. I'm sure you can definitely feel this in your quads. I don't think many of us think about stretching quads or even calves. That's why I included those. You know, everything is connected. Even if you have pain in your shoulders, doesn't mean you shouldn't stretch your legs. And go ahead and release. The next thing we're going to do with the chair is downward facing dog. So you simply fold forward in the chair, walk the legs back until your arms, now you might choose to hold the chair like this. I like to just place mine on top. Again, test it out, see what works better for you. And then you walk backwards until you feel like you know the upper half of your body can form a straight line. You can keep the knees bent if you'd like to make it more comfortable. I usually keep mine just a smidge bent. We call it a micro bend. And then move the hips back and notice the length that you can get in your spine here. You might even feel it around the shoulder blades, around the entire socket of your shoulder, with your whole rotator cuff. Breathe through the belly, full deep breaths. And then slowly we'll start to come up and then walk towards the chair again. Now the next one we're going to do is triangle. So I'm going to, you can take your feet a bit wider and then turn them towards the chair, right? So I've got one leg in front. The back leg is at about a 45-degree angle. So it's not exactly perpendicular to the leg. And then I take my arms out by my sides, and so will you. Again, you don't have to lock the knees, keep them a little bit loose. And then you're going to come forward. This triangle traditionally is like this, but we're using the chair, right? So we're going to come forward and just place our arm on the chair. And then the other arm is going to point up towards the ceiling. Now your gaze can be up at the ceiling, but if it bothers your neck at all, you can look forward, you can even look down. So again, see what works for your body. Full deep breaths. On your next inhale, we'll press both legs into the mat and come up and over. And then next, we're going to bend the front knee and come into warrior two. Once again, we'll inhale back to standing, and now we have to do the other side. So the best way to do that would be just step forward and then step back. So again, the left foot is facing forward and my right foot is behind me. I'm going to take my arms up by my sides, move forward, and come into my triangle. Full deep breaths. On your next inhale, we're going to press right up and then bend that front knee and come into warrior two. Full deep breaths here, press the back heel into the floor. And then we'll inhale back to standing, bring the hands to come down. From here, we're going to do a few seated poses. So the first one is cat-cow. I know we've done this one before. Again, one of my personal favorites. Cat-cow is meant to undulate the spine. We want to get movement in the spine. So we're basically moving, imagine you're moving your ribs back and forth, okay? You can hold on to your seat to do this. I like to start by leading with my chin and my face. I inhale and I move my chest and ribs forward and I lift my gaze. As we exhale, we're going to round the back, allow the chin to come to the chest. Inhale, come forward again. Exhale, round the back. Inhale, forward. I want you to continue at your own. We're going to do a few rounds, and as long as you synchronize breath with movement, then you should be fine. What I don't want you to do is try to match your breath with my breath. So anytime throughout the practice, when I say inhale or exhale, if you're not ready to inhale at that moment, you know what to do. So don't feel like you have to do it at the exact same time. Sometimes that can make people feel uncomfortable with their breath, and we don't want to feel uncomfortable with our breath. Let's do one more round of this. And at the end of your second round, we'll just come right back to sitting. I'll give you a second to join up. So the next pose, we're going to just take a twist. So just place your right hand on the outside of your left thigh, and your left hand will turn behind you. Now you can hold on to the back of the chair. You can maybe go further. It just depends on you. You can even hold it this way. So the stretch is, or you can even do this. You know, it just depends on how much you're able to twist. You might even grab the other side. Now in the twist, we want to lift the chest a little bit as we inhale and twist as we exhale, because we do want to try to keep the spine straight. And again, we're breathing fully and deeply through the belly here. We'll slowly release and come around to the front, and then we'll do it on the other side. So we'll cross left hand over right and bring your right arm behind you, wherever your support might be. Lift the chest a little as you inhale, twist as you exhale. My apologies for the truck. I'm on a pretty busy street. On your next exhalation, slowly we'll make our way back to the front. The next thing we're going to do is something for the hips. It's called chair pigeon. If it's possible for you, if it's available to you to do this, we're going to just sit like this. If this is not available to you for any reason, see if you can place your foot maybe on another chair. I'll show you what that looks like, because I know not everyone can move like this. you can try placing your leg on a chair this way, if that's available to you. So try that out. And then the rest of us will do it like this. You're going to keep the foot flexed. And again, this might be enough for you. This might feel pretty intense. But if it doesn't, and you think you can take it a little further, then we'll start to lean forward. Only go as far as you can go until you can feel what's happening in that outer hip. This is a great outer hip stretch as well as a nice stretch for the piriformis muscle. And if you're not familiar, the piriformis muscle is the one that can cause sciatica if you are not stretching. It can also become inflamed, and that can cause sciatica. So sciatica is really an illness of sitting too much. And so we have to stretch these muscles. Now you might notice as I'm talking, I'm going further and further in my fold. This is probably going to happen to you as well. And this is why I like long holds for poses, because we can really take our time and breathe into it and be patient with our bodies so that our bodies can let us in when the body is comfortable, if that makes any sense. If you push a muscle too hard to try to stretch it and it's not quite ready, it will actually tense up more. And that's where you can cause injury. So the beauty of a slow practice, because I know my yoga is not like other people's yoga. It's not like the trendy yoga. This is old school yoga. We take our time and we really connect with our body. That's how we learn what we can do, what we can't do, where our pain is, what needs attention, and what does not. Slowly, let's start to make our way back up. And we'll change sides. Now, if you were using the other chair, it would be the same thing. You would have the leg on the chair and just try to fold forward a little bit. So let's do it on the other side. You might notice that one side is different than the other. I always notice that one side is different than the other. Always. I don't know if I'll ever get them to match up. But that's normal, right? It's normal for everyone. These are our bodies, and this is how our body works. So full deep breaths, take your time. Allow the breath to let you in, and actually a little tiny bit of gravity here too. Notice if your body's letting you in. Notice if your body alternatively is resisting. If your body is resisting, maybe back up a little bit or back off a little bit. For every yoga pose, that's what I always tell my students, find the edge of your pose and then back off a tiny bit so that you're inviting your body, not forcing. Slowly, we'll start to make our way back up from this one. And then from here, I'm going to move forward in my seat. We're going to open up the chest a little bit too. So when you're sitting at your desk, one of the things that happens often is we start to round and we don't even realize it. So don't feel bad. It's the way it is, unless you're a person who stands up and you do all the the right protocols. But for many people, it's common. And what happens is these muscles in the back get stretched out. They get over elongated. So for the back muscles, it's better to use strengthening exercises, and you can do that at the gym with weights. And also in my yoga class, we also do back strengthening poses. And the other thing is you want to open up the chest, because these muscles, especially the pectoral muscles, get really tight. They shrink and they tighten. So we need to open the chest as well. So we're going to take our hands behind our back. If it's available to you to clasp your hands, please do so. If it's not available, just take the back of the chair, not a problem. And then we're simply going to stretch the arms, inhale the chest up, and the arms come up and back. Now the gaze can be straight ahead, or you can take the neck back a little bit if you'd like and feel safe. And we just take a few full deep breaths here. It doesn't matter if your hands are clasped or if you're holding onto the chair, the movement is the same. Full deep breaths. Slowly start to release. Bring your hands down to the low back. Release. Wonderful. So one more thing we're going to do, well, we have a couple of things actually. So another thing we're going to do is a few neck rolls, okay? But neck rolls, the way I do them are a little differently. First of all, we never roll our neck all the way around. It's not quite safe. So what we do is we will let our chin drop to the chest, and then we're going to roll up one side, exhale, inhale up the other side, exhale. We'll go back and forth like this a few times. So let's start with an inhale. Exhale as your chin comes to your chest. Inhale as you roll your head up one side until it feels like your ear is parallel with your shoulder. And then as you exhale, turn and look down, roll back to center. Inhale back up the other side. Turn and look down and exhale. Continue at your own pace. We'll do 3 full neck rolls all together. Synchronize your own breath with your own movement. And see how that feels instead of trying to match with mine. And then when you come back to center, we'll simply lift the head back up. So we just have a couple more here. The next one is to do a little bit of unwinding of the shoulder blades. This one is called eagle arms. Now you can do this with your legs crossed. Some people like to do the full eagle twist. I find it awkward in a chair. So it also depends on your leg type. My calves are just like too big for that. So you can actually just maybe cross and maybe put this on the block. Okay. And then from here, we'll take the arms up by our sides, and since I have my right arm up top, I'm going to bring my left arm in, cross them over. Now, for some people, simply hugging your arms like this is enough to get the stretch. If you have a little more flexibility, again, we all have different levels of flexibility, also in different parts of our bodies, you can also do it this way and press the backs of your hands together. If you can go a little further, you can actually turn the arms all the way around and press the palms together. This is eagle arms. Turn so you can see it. From here, we'll take a few deep breaths again. And if this feels too intense, maybe just unwind a little bit. Okay? But if you'd like more intensity, you can actually draw the elbows forward just a little bit. Even a centimeter makes a huge difference. And we'll stay here and breathe. Notice where you're feeling it. Notice if you found any tight spots you didn't know you had. And slowly we'll start to release. Bring your arms down. Uncross, we'll cross to the other side. Now real quick, let's just take our arms off our sides and give them a little twist. This is just to loosen up the deltoids up top here. And then we'll come back. So we've crossed to the other side. Now I'm going to bring my left arm underneath and my right arm on top. And again, you can just start with the hug, see if that works for you. You can also cross up into eagle this way or this way. All of these options are perfectly appropriate. And I reiterate, it's about how it feels, not what it looks like. Full deep breaths, please. And again, a little reminder, if you want to intensify it a little bit, feel free to draw the elbows forward. And then slowly we'll start to release. And then this time, we're going to do a few shoulder rolls and cross the legs. And then we'll change direction. And we'll sit in the chair, close your eyes. We'll take 1 minute Shavasana. I'll watch the time. So just close your eyes. You can place your hands on your thighs and just notice how you feel. You don't have to continue with the full deep breathing. You can just come into your natural breath. Notice your feet on the floor. Notice the chair against your back. Soften your jaw. Release the tongue if it's stuck to the roof of the mouth. Soften the eyes. Soften all the muscles of the face, of your cheeks, around your eyes, your forehead, even your scalp. And from here, we'll start to wiggle fingers and toes and maybe take a full deep breath so we can prepare to open our eyes again and come back. I hope that practice was suitable for you. I hope you enjoyed it. Namaste. Thank you for joining me for that practice.
Thank you, Spira, as always. That was excellent. And let me just tell you that I'm sitting in a conference room with windows over there doing your exercise and stretches as you went along. So I couldn't resist. So thank you. Thank you. I'm sure Sophia will have questions from the audience in a few minutes, but we're going to go to Kelly, who's going to give us a little e-commuter demo and another poll. So go ahead, Kel.
Yep. So just as a wrap up, I know Spira mentioned a whole bunch of commuter wellness things that are mindfulness practices beyond meditation.
Thank you.
So we put together this handout for you. It is available in the handouts on the webinar. So yeah, so just, yoga, breath work, mindful walking, mindful seeing, art making. I don't know that dishes for me, Spira, would be a good mindfulness practice.
Well, the idea is to sometimes take something that maybe you don't enjoy, but
Well, there you
do
go.
it, right? But do it 100% and put your focus into it. Like, I don't like doing dishes either, but the idea of moving that sponge around and really focusing in on it is a practice in itself. Yeah.
So I'll convince my husband of that one. So
It's a dishwasher.
So for e-commuter, right? So today we're really talking about commute planning and mindfulness about, sort of what is the plan for getting back to work. And ecommuter.org is our platform that helps you do that. So this does everything from find you carpool partners to biking partners. It shows you turn-by-turn directions on bike-friendliest routes to get to work. It also has transit planning where it tells you exactly what bus to get on, what stop to get off, what subway to use, a commuter rail, etc. We also have an emergency ride home program. So for when you use those modes, you probably don't have your own personal vehicle, but should an event come up that you need to get home right away, or you need to go to the doctor's or daycare or whatever it may be, the emergency ride home program actually gives you a free ride on Lyft or taxi or enterprise rent-a-car to get you to those places. So just because you don't have your personal vehicle doesn't mean you won't be covered. So just going to do a quick poll just to ask everybody on the call, how many of you are currently enrolled in ERH on ecommuter.org? We'll leave this open for about 30 seconds or so, let you guys get your votes in, come back to sort of thinking about, whether you're in the office now or you're, coming a couple days a week. It's a free program. It's included with your commuter services as either part of your employer, your residential property, the Transportation Management Association that your organization belongs to. There's no cost to you. So it looks like we have about half the votes in. So if you haven't voted yet, we'll leave it open for about five or so more seconds, and we'll see where we are. Okay, we'll close that up. So it looks like about 67% of you haven't registered yet. So it is free to do, like I said. So just visit ecommuter.org, and after you register for a profile, again, all free to do, you just click on that ERH tab and we'll get you in the program. And then that way it's there if you ever need it. There are guidelines and instructions on how to use it. And yeah, like I said, it's a good peace of mind, I think, for moving into your commute plan. So with that, I'll introduce over to Sophia. I know she's got some information about a promo that Spir is doing for new students, as well as anything that you guys have for Q&A.
Okay, so before we tell everyone about the special that you have, Spira, there are a couple of questions for both you and Kelly. This one is for you, Spira. What is something that I can do every day to improve my mindfulness?
One thing, if I had to choose one thing, I'm going to choose a double thing. Okay, so I would say child's pose. The reason why I'm choosing child's pose is because child's pose not only helps with your mindfulness, but it also helps to regulate your nervous system, so especially after you've had a stressful day. So it's killing two birds with one stone. Because when you're in child's pose, your eyes are closed, you're all curled up, and all you can focus on is your breath and being safe in your body.
So for those of us that may not be familiar with what child pose exactly is, do you mind showing us on the mat real quick, Spira?
Oh, this is my favorite. So you basically just fold yourself up like a child.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
Arms out, arms by your sides, arms behind you. If you have a problem with your knees, put a blanket behind your knees so it opens up the front. And you could also put a blanket maybe under your forehead if you need a little bit of extra. And also for bigger bodies, if you have a bolster or some pillows, you can put it under your belly. That will make it more comfortable as well. Because it's the best pose, but you have to adjust for your body too as well.
Okay, all right.
Great, thanks.
Thank you. So Kelly, why do I have to register for eCommuter?
Why do you have to register for eCommuter? Well, other than
Yes.
all the things that I mentioned of making your mind at ease about what you're going to do going forward about your commute, eCommuter has a whole bunch of things. We have programs as part of those TMAs, as part of our private clients, where we do different challenges throughout the year to sort of get you engaged in trying different modes, exploring different modes. There's prizes a lot of time associated with these things. Registering for ERH specifically, I think just that peace of mind that you're always covered no matter what happens. Whether your carpool partner gets sick or has to leave work early, you're not left stranded.
Okay, but I have to register in order to take advantage of those.
You do have to register before taking advantage of ERH, mainly just so that we can give it to the people that have this benefit, but then also so you have instructions on how to call us to get that Lyft ride, and that's all available at ecommuter.org.
Okay, so what if I'm only commuting to the office a few times a week? Can eCommuter help me find a carpool or bike partner for those days that I am commuting in?
Yep, so eCommuter has the flexibility to search for partners on specific commuting days. So if you're only going in Mondays and Tuesdays, you can find a carpool partner for that. You can find bike partners for that. Like I said, ERH is always available. When you're enrolled in ERH, it's always available on the days you don't have your personal vehicle.
Okay, and one more question for you, Kelly.
Sure.
Can I still participate in eCommuter challenges if I'm telecommuting 100% of the time?
Yeah, so a lot of those incentives that I sort of talked about, those challenges throughout the year that we do, a lot of them are recording your trips And telecommuting in our mind is a trip because it's a trip that you don't take. So you have tons of cost. I mean, that's 100% cost savings, fuel reduction, vehicle miles saved, et cetera. So definitely, record those into the commute calendar and kind of see those things rack up. If that's what the challenge is going on presently, then you're qualified for all those sorts of prizes. So yeah, definitely.
Okay, all right. And Spira, one more question for you. Thank you, Kelly.
Mhm.
Spira, is it good to practice both mindfulness and body together?
Say that again, mindfulness and?
And body together.
Well, so yoga is a mindfulness practice, and that includes the mind and the body.
Okay.
So yes, it's okay to, you don't have to. But mindfulness usually includes the body in some way, shape, or form. So even when you're doing a mindfulness meditation, you're still paying attention to your body. That's
Okay,
why
perfect.
and that's why they're been called the mind-body practices.
Okay, all right. I don't think I see any more questions. And as we had mentioned, Spira will be offering 2 online classes for $15 for new students. So new students, you can get 2 online classes with Spira for $15. That's the deal.
It is a deal.
All right. Okay. So I turn it back over to you, Julie.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Spira, again, that was excellent. Thank you so much for live streaming our yoga class, New Year, New You, Mindfulness and Commute Planning. Thanks to everyone that joined. Again, my name is Julie Quinn from Transaction Associates. If you have any questions about commuting services provided by Transaction, you can reply to the email you will receive after the webinar, and one of our transportation specialists will get in touch with you. Spira's studio is conveniently located in Cambridge near the Leechmere T station on the Green Line. And again, make sure you use that special because that's a great, great deal. For individual yoga questions, Spira's contact information is on the screen right now, and it will also be available in the follow-up email. Our next transportation webinar is Electrify Your Commute, which is about electric vehicles, scheduled for January 14th at noon. Please watch your email for additional information on how to register for this webinar and also future webinars that we have scheduled. Thank you again, and everyone have a great day. Namaste.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year,
Happy
everybody.
New Year.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.